and we are live, Pro Wrestling Inside and Out. And on tonight's program, we're going to talk to a legendary wrestler, superstar Bill Dundee. Welcome to the program.
Hey, Wes, how you doing, sir?
I am doing great.
All right, just how far back do you want to go in this wrestling business?
Well, let's start here. Let's just start telling people, because I don't think we're going to get a lot into the Australia, but you started in 1963 wrestling for Jim Barnett's World Championship Wrestling, correct?
Yeah, but let's not say wrestling, because what we did here and what we did in Australia, we just put the boys over in Australia. I mean, Mark Lewin, Skull Murphy, Rupert Bernard, all them big stars that Jim Barnett had. I mean, the local guys, you got them over, but you learn the business back then too. So when we come here, we discovered it was altogether different than what we did in Australia. We just did jobs in Australia, but we learned what we was doing. And when we got here for Nick Gulas, George Barnes, and I in 1975, we got over like a house afire.
Now, here's some of the matches that I found when you first got here. You and Barnes against Dennis Condrey and Jim Gagne. You went against Dennis Hall and George Gulas.
Yeah.
Tojo Yamamoto and Jimmy Golden.
Yeah.
Steve Kovacs and Jerry Barbara. Tojo Yamamoto, and you went against Dick the Bruiser.
Yeah.
What do you remember about that?
We knew who Dick the Bruiser was even in Australia by the magazines before we got here. And then Tojo, we never really had him until we got here. And then some of the local guys, just like today, I mean, when you're local on Memphis, that doesn't mean you know about you in Australia. So when we got here, we knew Dick the Bruiser. He had worldwide, because them magazines, all wrestling magazines, you could read about them in there. So we knew a couple of the guys, but most of them we didn't. So. But we got over, and that was the main thing.
Before we came on there, I was asking you about Bearcat Brown and Joey Rossi, because on March 5th, 1975, the Fairgrounds Arena, Nashville, you went against them and it ended with a time limit draw. Tell me a little bit of what you, Bearcat Brown and Joey Rossi, how were they as a team?
When we learned in Australia that you had to learn to wrestle, and we both could wrestle a little bit. We wasn't no lieutenants, don't get me wrong, but you know what I mean. We could make it look like we could wrestle. And Joey and Bearcat were just two guys well, Joey could wrestle a little bit. He was just out of shape. But Bearcat, he was just a big old boy, and you know that was how it was. So we did our best to get him over. And that's what it was back in the good old days. That's what you did. You would help your opponent if they weren't too good. You would want the match to be good, so you would do whatever you could, your part to make it good. So they were just another tag team.
Okay, on March 10th, 1975, at the Mid-South Coliseum in Memphis, Tennessee, you and George Barnes defeated Tojo Yamamoto and Eddie Marlin to win the NWA Southern Tag Team titles. Now, that's less than, a month you won the titles?
Yeah. When we got here, they were looking for something, and we just happened to be it. Bobby Shane, who guys booked here, when he came and took the book in Australia, he'd be working, and a lot of Americans said, hey, we can get you booked in America, but it never really happened. So, but when Shane said it, he called Jerry Jarrett, talked to Jarrett, and we bought our own ticket, got our visa, and here we are in 1975, we arrived. So a lot of people had said, hey, I can help it. They never did it, but Bobby Shane did it, and we got here. And the main thing was the reason we got here when Bobby Shane, he took the book back in Florida. Remember he got killed in the plane wreck?
Yes.
Well, we was going to come here and get used to working American style, and we was going to go to Florida with him. But it never happened because the plane wreck, and that was the end of that. So, but that was what the plan was, to come here and get to learn to work the Tennessee style and the American style for Nick Gulas. And we're going, Shane gets back from Australia, he was moving Australia, we were going to go to Florida. So who knows what happened if we'd ended up in Florida. We might be on that darn plane too.
Now, in May of 1975, I don't have the exact date, but George Barnes decides to leave, and then you lose the titles to Tojo Yamamoto and Jimmy Golden. Why did George Barnes decide to leave?
when you have wife problems and she didn't really want him to come to begin with, and not, you know, it's just one of them things. He just, and he didn't really like it here for some reason or another. And I don't know why. I loved it from day one here, but George, he just didn't like, oh, that damn Yanks, I don't like blah 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 blah. So he just decided, went home, and when you're a tag team and one half of it leaves, that leaves you like a ship with no water to sail it in, or no wind to blow the sails, and no sail. So I was just kind of left on my lonesome. He went home, and I was here, and then Jerry Jarrett was the booker, so he said, we need to switch you babyface, and he did, and the rest is history, as they say.
Now, before they switched you, you had a feud with Tojo Yamamoto. What do you remember about that?
Well, you saw Tojo. Not that I'm the biggest guy in the world, but Tojo was about 5'5" tall and 260 pounds, so, you know, it was like, he was, and he couldn't fly around all over the place. So I mean, but he was over, and when he chopped it, people believed in it, and that's all it was. So I didn't mind working with Tojo, and I liked him.
After that, they teamed you with Chris Colt, and you went against the Fargos. What do you remember about that?
Jackie and Don Fargo, they were the boys back then, and Chris Colt was here, and he came from Oregon, and he was a pretty big star in Oregon, and he come here, and I was just a guy from Australia, so they put us together, see what would happen, but I think we clicked as a team, and they liked us, and when you say, see, how can I put this to you? Tennessee never had the reputation of being a wrestling territory. It was kicking, punching, chopping, and all them things. So Tojo's style was over, and me and Chris Colt flew all over the place for him, and you know what it was, you did whatever they wanted you to do, and then the rest is history, as they say.
Now, was Chris Colt, did he have all the makeup and everything on at that time, or?
No, he was a motorbike guy back then. He was like a Hell's Angel guy. He wore the blue jeans, the cut-off jeans, and the motorbike with the motorcycle boots, and yeah. So then he changed his gimmick as he went on down the road, I guess. But no, he was Hell's Angel when I knew him.
Now, after that, they teamed you up with Crazy Luke Graham for a while. What was it like to be with Crazy Luke Graham?
That was a gimmick. Luke was just a big guy and the thing, and he liked to drink a little bit, so sometimes he was Crazy Luke on the way home from the town. But I like working with him.
Right before they turn you team up with Otto Von Heller to go against Tojo and Tommy Rich. What was the deal there that put you with Otto Von Heller?
I was a pretty fair worker for the time back then, so I mean, and Otto was just green as grass, so Jarrett just put us together. He said, when he told Otto, he said, Dundee will do all the work, and you just come in and do whatever we did it to come back to do whatever, and that's what happened. I carried the match type thing, and then Otto got over too, so that was why they put me with a couple of big old boys, so I could fly around. They just did what they did.
All right, now you turn on television. Was it on TV?
Yeah, or Monday night, and they filmed it, then they showed it. Yeah.
And you do the turn with Eddie Marlin, right?
Yeah, I saved Eddie because we had the program with Tojo and Eddie against me and Barnes went home. Chris Colt and I worked against him, so that was established. Tojo and Eddie and Bill Dundee with another partner. It didn't matter who it was, but I had wrestled them, you know, for the first 6 months I was here, or almost a year, I guess, and then they decided they were going to switch me. And I raised hell and bitched about that. I said, I'm not a baby face, I'm a heel. But Jerry Jarrett said, no, you was a heel. You're a baby face now, so here we go. And it clicked, got over it. People liked it. I was a little cute devil back then, sold a lot. The girls liked it. And when there's girls coming to the matches, there's boys coming too, so business was good.
And after that, they teamed you with Bullet Bob Armstrong for a while. What did you think about teaming with Bob?
Oh, I like Bob. He worked. He's a lot of fire and do the thing. And I learned because, I mean, like I said, I just did jobs in Australia. So I was kind of in the learning process, what to do to work on top. And there's a difference between doing the first match and the main event if you're doing it right. So, I mean, look, working with Bob, I learned a lot. He could work. He could do it all. And he could talk. And that's the secret of the wrestling business back then. If you couldn't talk, you couldn't get over. That's how you got over, by what you said or how you talking. Because look at all the English guys that came here that really couldn't talk, but they could all wrestle, but it didn't mean nothing. They just had good matches, but they never worked on top.
Now, in December of 1975, you have your first run with Jerry Lawler. How did that come about?
Well, it was a kind of how would you say? He was the man, and him and Jerry had gone into an argument or something before me and Barnes got here, and he had left. He went to Florida and did what he did, but he was still, he was over like a house of fire. I mean, he was over when we got here, but he was in Florida. So me and Barnes said, when's that then Jerry Lawler coming back when we do the thing? We'd like to wrestle him, blah, 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 but anyway, George had left, and then Lawler came back. And I guess I was just a little cute baby face, and he was coming back as a heel, so they put it together, see what it did, and it did good business. And you know how it is when you start drawing money, they just leave you together. So that's how it all happened.
Now, was Sam Bass, was he working there, or did he leave with Jerry Lawler?
No, Sam got killed on the Pioneer River Bridge in the car wreck, remember?
That was in 1976, right?
Yeah. But no, he stayed. When Lawler went off to Florida, see, Lawler and Jerry had a falling out. Technically, that's really what nobody ever said. That's what it wasn't until behind the scenes. Then Jerry said that he run them off or something. You know, Lawler didn't want to go to the small towns, and Jerry said, "Well, don't go to the big ones," and that was the end of that. So then he left, went to Florida, came back, but he was still over when he came back, and that's how it was. You know, this business is if you're over, they'll use you.
Now, do you think that Jerry is the one that sent him to Florida? Was he exiled to Florida?
Yeah, I don't know if that was. No, I never heard that story. I don't know if he got himself booked and just went, or Jared exonerated him for a little while and sent him there and cool off. So I really can't tell you that part. But yeah, I know he went to Florida, and then he came back, and he was still over here, and him and Jared were patched up, whatever, I guess, and good as gold. And here we are, 40 years later.
Now, right after that, by the middle of March of 1975, it might have been 1976. It was March of 1976. You would team with Big Bad John, and that would be a turning point of your name.
Bicentennial, baby. That was 76. That was the bicentennial year, right?
Yes.
And then they did the angle where they switched Big Bad John from heel to babyface, and he wore the red, white, and blue outfit, and he had the top hat, like Uncle Sam posters back in that day. And that was when he came out and he'd do the thing, and he said, "Well, I'm going to be the bicentennial baby." He said, "This is the superstar. This is my partner. I'm the bicentennial baby, and that's the superstar." That's how that all started. I just looked up and went thick stall. I said, "Well, if you say it, that'll be good." And that's how it all started.
Now, with Big Bad John, I know seeing some tapes of his, he wasn't the greatest wrestler, but he could really do an interview.
Oh, talk is unbelievable. And that's what I said at the beginning of this thing. If you could talk, you could get over. The wrestling was just icing on the cake if you could do both. But he wasn't the best, and he was big. I mean, he was about 6'6" and 300 pounds or something. So, I mean, he had that big, deep voice. So if he told you something, you could take it to the bank.
Now, did you know him from Australia? Because didn't he work for Jim Barnett?
When he worked with Barnett, yeah. And I guess it would all start as Barnett brought there, but he never stood out like Mark Lewin type thing or a Red Bastien type. He was a big heel and young. So, I knew him. Now,
after that, you actually win the Southern Tag Team titles with him. by beating David Schultz and Roger Kirby. You had a series of matches with them. How was David Schultz and Roger Kirby to wrestle?
And my partner was Big Bad John, right? In the corner, and they just beat the hell out of me. Like, got over and tagged him, then we come in and we did whatever finish we was going to do. I mean, I like working with Schultz and I like working with Roger. They both could work and they could wrestle a little bit, so we could do that. But Big John just stood and clapped his hands and cheered me on until the finish. And back then it was a different era. I mean, people wouldn't buy that today, but it was just how it was. Little guy, big guy, and here we go.
After that series of matches, you actually then went against in a tag match. I guess it was you and Big Bad John against Jerry Lawler and Plowboy Frazier. What was that?
Well, that was the same again. You had Lawler was smaller than Frazier, and then you had me and John. It was when me and Lawler was in the ring, it was going pretty good. But when we tagged one another with partners, it kind of slowed down. Yeah, Plowboy Frazier about 7 feet tall, Big John 6'9" or whatever. So it was just, and then we would do whatever finish we did, and we'd do the thing. But the people bought it. I mean, we were selling out. It was doing good business. And that's all they cared about back in the good old days. It's $1 at the ticket box.
Now, you also, and right before, I guess this would be right before Sam Bass, Pepe Lopez, and Frank Hester had the automobile accident, you went against the Mass Dominoes and J.C. Dykes. Do you remember that?
Right. Yeah. And wasn't one of the Dominoes in the car, too?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, I think it was Sam Pat.
Pepe Lopez, right?
Yes.
And Sam Bass, and they hit the bridge or the car on the Piney River Bridge, and Sam always drove that damn LTD headed 100 miles an hour, so God knows how fast they were going. But I saw the car that was tore all the hell after. Well, we passed it on the way home. He was ahead of us, and then the boys were coming on behind, and there was sitting on the side of the road. We didn't know it was Sam's then. It was all tore to hell. And when we got home the next morning, Jared called and said Sam was in a wreck last night. I said, hell, well, we didn't know it was him, but we saw the car. How is he? And he said he didn't make it. So that was just how that kind of was back then.
Now, J.C. Dykes, my middle name is Dykes because, that's who started Dad was J.C. Dykes. Jimmy gave him his first break. He was supposed to be in the car with them, but he, at the last minute, I think he took a, he went with someone else, didn't he?
Another ride, yeah. Well, Brent, I'm telling you, Sam drove that friggin' LTD as fast as it would go wherever he was going. He would scare the hell out of me. I never rode with him. I mean, if it did 100, he was doing 100. No telling what he was doing going down that hill to the Piney River Bridge, and the guy had wrecked the truck in front of him, and that's what they hit. So it wasn't like it was a two-car thing moving. It was just him coming at 100 miles an hour, and the other truck or little pickup truck or whatever it was had wrecked on the bridge, and Sam hit it.
That was a sad day, and that really J.C. Dykes, Jimmy Dykes, that almost done him in. I think he retired soon afterwards.
Yeah. So it was just. That was the first wreck I'd ever seen in the wrestling business. I mean, you hear the things you got here, there, and everywhere before some of the boys had been in a wreck, but that one was sure.
Now, did you like Jimmy Dykes? Was he?
Yeah, I go along good with him.
Now he wasn't there long though, was he?
No. He had his. Well, I mean, he worked in offices in other places too. So you know how you are when you work at an office and you're really just back to one of the boys. It doesn't really work. You know, I've been the same way. You go somewhere, well, I wouldn't have done that. You do the thing, so. But I go along good with him. He could talk, and that was all. That's all he wanted to do was talk.
Well, unfortunately, I never got to see him, so.
Well, there's got to be a tape of him somewhere. I'll look at. I may have it because I have a lot of matches that was just taped. My wife would tape the show.
You know, we were supposed to go over there and pick up. He must have recorded all his stuff. He must have had a camera back then. And we were supposed to go pick up all that stuff in the loaded boot that the Infernos had. And we didn't go get it. Now I look back at it now and think, man, that I would love to have that. Yes, but now at the same time, when Dad was working in Georgia, they had a bunch of old tapes, and Jim Barnett came to us and said, "My boys, I need you to clean this office out." And so we cleaned it out all right and threw it in the garbage. We should have threw it in the back seat of the car.
Yeah.
But we did.
Can you imagine that stuff today?
Yeah. It was the old Atlanta City Auditorium, the old sports arena stuff in Georgia. But we threw it all away. He wanted it cleaned out.
I hear you.
In August of 1976, you would start a feud with Phil Hickerson and Dennis Condrey, which I got to see them wrestle many times. They were a superb tag team.
Very good. And look at Phil. He was what, 5'11" tall and 300 pounds? Or 280 anyway. I mean, he was a big old boy, bit of a belly, but, and Dennis was a little slimmer and could work. They both could work and take bumps.
I think they left there and went to work for Ron Fuller. And, after that, you have a feud with Gorgeous George Jr. What do you remember about that?
I'm trying to think how did we start that?
It was in November of 1976.
And he'd just come back from Australia. Because Bobby Shane brought him over to Australia back in the good old days. But it never, because Bobby said to me, he said, "I'm bringing Gorgeous George," and I thought that was the real one. And I said, "Gorgeous?" He said, "No, Junior, his boy." But he never got over in Australia the way the guy before ahead of him. No, it wasn't his dad, but they said it was, the original Gorgeous George.
Yes.
So he'd been 15 years ahead of that, and he got over, but it was a different era again. So, well, we try things in the wrestling business. Some work, some don't. So that's how I met him first in Australia, and brought him in here, and he liked working with me, and I liked working with him, and it clicked.
Yeah, because y'all had lumberjack matches and chain matches, and for a while there.
Oh yeah, we had it rocking and rolling.
Now, after that, in January of 1977, you would start teaming with Ricky Gibson. And you actually went to Chattanooga and won the Mid-American Tag Team Championship from T.O. and Tapu?
Yeah, the one with the Jap, yeah.
Now, at this time, was Lynn Rossi booking Chattanooga?
Jerry Jarrett never let the reins go all together. You know what I mean? He kept hold of the horse. But yeah, Len would suggest and do and whatever. And if Jarrett didn't like it, or he thought, well, if he was pushing his boy too much, he would pull him in. Yeah. But yeah, he was helping in the office. Yeah.
Because I know you won the Mid-American Tag Team titles, but I don't think you held on to them, because I think at this time there were Nick Gulas and at this time Nick Gulas and Jerry Jarrett were having some problems with each other.
Right. Nick wanted to push George. You know how that was.
I always thought this about George and watching George. I thought George could sell really, really good, but he couldn't do much more. His comebacks were horrible. But he did do all right at selling, but he just didn't have a comeback on.
But he was the boss's son. That's all he needed.
Now what did you think about teaming with Ricky Gibson? Because he was a great wrestler.
Oh, he was working fool, man. He was unbelievable. I liked working with him. Well, him and Robert they were real brothers, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and Robert never quite got what Ricky had, but Ricky was a hell of a worker.
Well, he was.
When he got a bit older and he became the Rock and Roll Express, he did good in the tag match, but he wasn't near as good as Ricky.
No, Ricky was really good. They came to Atlanta for a while.
Come back, talk, yeah.
Now you after that, you and Ricky would win the Memphis side of the territory because you won the Mid American Tag Team titles, but then you won the Southern Tag Team titles by beating David Schultz and Dutch Mantell. What did you think about Dutch Mantell at that time?
Well, I mean, Dutch could work, so could David, and David was a big, strong sucker, and you know how they were, and Dutch could always talk, so I enjoyed working with him.
Now, was David Schultz as crazy as he was when he was in Southeastern Wrestling?
Unbelievable. Yeah, he was always crazy. In fact, some people would say goofy, a little more than crazy, but yeah, he was wild.
After that, you would lose the Southern Tag Team titles in the first February 1977 to Pork Chop Cash and Gorgeous George Jr. Tell me a little bit about Pork Chop Cash.
I didn't think Pork Chop was a great worker, but I never thought the Junkyard Dog was either. But back then, if you was a brother and they pushed you, you usually got over because there wasn't a lot of them, especially in the South. You know, so Pork Chop would work better than JYD, I thought, but, you know, just because there was a lot of good workers around back then. And it was just one of them things. I mean, if you wasn't in the right spot or whoever was booking didn't really like you, you know how it was. You were just on the card.
Now, Pork Chop, he never really got over anywhere he went. Was it the booking or was it Pork Chop Cash had something that wasn't there?
I mean, if we could all put our finger on what that something is, I believe if a little bit of that, I never looked at it like that back in the day, was just, yeah, the hit wasn't there. Whatever it is, it gets you over. Pork Chop could work and a good worker, and that was where it ended.
After this, and you started teaming.
Either.
No. But you know, really.
You would have kind of tried to follow JYD and his talking and things like that and say some of the words that JY said, but it was all different, came out of Pork Chop's mouth. It was different.
Now, getting away just for a second from Memphis Wrestling, did you work with or did you know Thunderbolt Patterson when you was in Australia?
Yeah. Over like a son of a gun. Unbelievable.
He was the person that had it because no matter where he went, he drew money.
Oh, he had it coming out. He was unbelievable. But he could work, he could talk, and he talked to the black people. I mean, he talked to the black people. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And they came out in droves to support him. He did the same in Atlanta, Memphis. Well, the whole South here. Did he work for Bill? Was he in Louisiana?
You know what? I believe he worked there for a while.
I can't think of nothing of wherever he was. I never. No, I don't think he was there either. No. But he would go over to Louisiana because he could talk to the people.
Yeah, he could do the interview. That I'm full was He was so good at what he did. In March of 1977, you start teaming with Tommy Rich. What do you remember of Tommy Rich?
Well, he was an 18-year-old kid just starting, so I mean, it's just like he was full of piss and vinegar type thing, but just needed to put it all together. And then when he did put it all together, he got over. I mean, he was a big for a kid. He was 18 when he started. He was 6'1" maybe, or whatever he was, a 6 foot. He was a big kid, and he was only 18, and the people knew he was just a kid, so they got behind him.
Yeah,
and to work right.
Once he got to Atlanta, man.
Yeah.
But they did him. They only did a good job with him, building him up as well. So now you go against Kurt and Carl Von Steiger during this time.
Mercy. No relief nowhere. I don't know which one was the stiffest. Kurt and Carl, yeah.
Now, did they work at the time in March of 1977? Were they working for for Memphis full time, or were they working for Ron Fuller?
Both. They would come in and out. They would do a program in Memphis, and if we didn't do even, they would go what do return for Fuller, then they would come back. Yeah.
Because they were the Southeastern Tag Team Champions.
Right. And the people, the wrestling fans knew there was two territories type thing. They got a Southeastern title and the Mid-South one down here. You know what I mean? So they knew what the difference was. And you're right, the Von Steigers had that bronze belts, yeah.
Now you went to work. You went to work and did something for Ron Fuller at that time as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
Did you like going to work for Ron Fuller, or would you rather stay in the Memphis territory?
No, I like working for. I like Robert and I like Ron. I got along with everybody. I mean, they were all very nice to me for a little bitty fella, and they were giants. You know how big they were. So I mean, they were very nice to me. So I didn't mind working. Because
you worked with them when they first. When you first came into there, Ron and Robert were working in the Memphis territory, wasn't they?
Right, yeah.
Now, March of 1977, that would have been the time that Nick Gulas and Jerry Jarrett had their falling out.
Yeah, me about that, yeah.
Now, did Nick Gulas try to contact you about working for him?
No, Lawler, I don't even really know if he talked to Lawler about working for him, but I mean, because you know how it was back in the good old days, they would sue you over this or sue you over that, so that would be stealing talent, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they never, I don't think anybody talked to anybody. We made, well, I'm staying with Jerry Jarrett. Barbara said, I'm staying with Jerry Jarrett, but we never really talked to Nick, we just never went back. So then Jarrett did his thing, and Nick did his thing, and Jarrett won.
Yeah, because they would run at the Cook Convention Center for a while, for
yeah.
for about 3 or 4 weeks, and then all at once they're back at the Mid-South Coliseum. So,
yeah.
Was Nick Gulas drawn that bad in Memphis?
Well, yeah. I mean, no, he didn't have anybody. He was over. I mean, Lawler was over. I was starting to get over a little bit for that, and then we had Chris Colton, his brother. Jarrett had all the talent for Memphis.
Where did Jackie Fargo? Did he end up staying with Nick?
Fargo looked after Fargo. Let's go it that way. And then if Jarrett needed him, he would come to Memphis. Nick needed him. So yeah, Jackie looked after Jackie. Which wasn't his war, so what can you say?
Now the Fargos, they were definitely over.
Oh, unbelievable. Donnie was over too. I mean, you know, and they had Roughhouse. There was 3 that when we got here, there was Donnie, Jackie, and then they would bring Roughhouse in for gimmick matches. And you know how Roughhouse worked like he was nuts.
Yeah, he would draw a lot of money when he did.
That was real too. So yeah, but it drew. I mean, what can you say? But it was like I said to you yesterday, the day before, the magician can't show you how to do the trick and it still be a trick, and that's what has happened in today's market. Back in the good old days, whatever we said, it was.
Yeah,
everybody's kind of smart now, or trying to be, so it's just, they talk. Well, you've seen them.
Oh, yeah.
They'll work with one another, then they'll be talking with one another. It's just a different era.
Yeah, they wouldn't have. Back in the day, you did that, you'd be fired in no time.
On the spot, right there.
In June of 1977, you go against Bad Leroy Brown. How was those matches?
I was fighting for my life. You saw how big he was?
Yes.
And he was greener than grass. So, I mean, it was just little Willie trying to sell, get him over and do whatever, and Jared was come up with the best finishes that we had. So, it was a struggle, because Leroy was just green and big, and what the hell am I going to do with the big bird? What, we went Drew?
Because now, was that not a Jerry Lawler's henchman or something? Was that not like a Jerry Lawler henchman or something?
Brought him in to kill me.
Now, Did you ever really know Leroy Brown really well?
No.
You know, he came to Atlanta. I have to tell this story. He came to Atlanta in 1980, 81, and he would ride with Dad, and we would be with him. And he would actually get in the car, and he would say, "Okay, this is my son Brent. This is my son Rodney," and he would say, and he would shake your hand, and within 2 minutes, he would be asleep. And he would sleep until he got to the town. And when he'd get back in the car that night, he would go to sleep within 2 minutes.
Yeah, in the dressing room, sometimes he was taking a nap. Now that you've said it, I remember him doing that, yeah.
I was like, man, you'd think he could at least stayed up for 15 minutes.
Yeah, see what's going on, yeah, right.
Now, the best guy to make trip with was Dick Murdoch.
Oh, yeah, he was a funny devil, liked to drink beer.
Yeah, he would tell stories from the time he got in the car until the time he got to the town, and then start back over when he got in the car.
Him and Dusty Rhodes came to Australia together, and they were young, so you can imagine how they were both back then. They both liked to drink beer. Big Dustin and Dickie Murdoch knew it. When they got over, like they were the Texas outlaws back then. And they worked like they were outlaws too, so yeah. And then when we come to America, it was Dusty was the booker for Ole or booker for whatever in Atlanta, and then Florida. So, but I knew all them boys in Australia because Barnett brought anybody back in that era to Australia. Not that I ever beat any of them. We did jobs, but that was just how it was. But I got along good with them because we would drive, because we were on the wrong side of the road, as they would say, and we drove on the right-hand side, and we drive on the left here, so they would sit and drink beer, and me and Barnes would drive with cars and take them to the town, bring them home. But it kept us in a job, so we wasn't bitching.
Old Dusty was a very nice person.
I got along good with him.
He had some great ideals for many years in Florida. When he finally went and started booking for Jim Crockett, he did a real good job. Now I think, like anything, he might have been there a little long, but he drew a lot of money for the Crockett's.
Yeah. But again, it was just like a John Wayne movie back in them days doesn't get over the same as it does today. I mean, back then we all was into John Wayne, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And then if the movie plays today, it's not the same thrill to the kids as it was for us. And that's the same with the wrestling business back then. I mean, look at Dusty. He talked funny. Well, not funny, but he had that lisp, but he didn't really have a lisp. He just talked for one. And he was a big brute. Dickie Murdoch was big. Dickie was from Texas, you know, all it was. So it was just the gimmicks.
What was how was when you first met Jerry Jarrett? What did you think of Jerry Jarrett when you met him?
Bobby Shane was the one that got us booked here, and he told me and Barnes, he said, the booker's Jerry Jarrett. He said, he's the best outside, but no different than us. But Shane wasn't a big guy either. He was, 5'10", maybe tall, but an hour ring. But he's very smart, and he's the boss. So get over with it. Don't do nothing to piss him off and do so. I mean, we kind of knew how it was when we got here. He was the boss, and he wanted to be treated like he was, so we did. And we was on top, and then George went home, and I've been here ever since.
Now, Jarrett was a great booker, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah, very smart. Well, he run, how can I put it? After I got to know him and would be in the office where they would do whatever, he kind of booked wrestling like he run his life. He was very babyface in his life, but don't piss him off because he get hot, you know what I mean? Same as the wrestling business. The babyface will take it all, take it, then you make the comeback and you do whatever you're going to do. Jarrett's life was like that. In business meetings, all that son of a bitch, he wants to buy my farm, he doesn't want, and you kind of run the wrestling business like that. Good guy, bad guy, and see what happens.
We got about 10 more minutes, and I want to start this. We're probably not going to finish it, but I want to start this on July 4th, 1977. You would start your second run with Jerry the King Lawler. The first match you had, you did something where if Lawler had to pin you twice in 15 minutes, and you both put up $2,000. Do you remember that match?
Yeah, you said it now. I'm starting to think about it. Yeah. Yeah, because he would do the thing, well, that little shot-off runt and do that thing there, and I could beat him 10 times, and, you know, that's how it all started. Then we made it the match like twice in 10 minutes of that kind of thing. Yeah.
And you beat Jerry Lawler in that match. And you beat him. You beat Jerry Lawler in that match. You came back the very next week, over 8,500 people, in a steel cage match. And he still had to pin you twice in 15 minutes. And this time was $4,000 versus Lawler's car.
I drove home in the car, right?
Yes, you did. You drove home in the car.
A big Cadillac.
Now, was that Jerry Lawler's car?
And I kept it for the time we did the program. I drove around in it. So, yeah, when it was back then, they did them kind of things. So, I mean, I had the car for a month or 2 months or wherever the program went.
The very next week, 9,000 people at the Mid-South Coliseum. July 25th, car versus title match. And you, and I guess the Southern title was on the line because you won the Southern title that night. Was that the first time you had the? Was that the first time you held the title?
Yeah. So I was on top of the world. I had his money, I had his title, and I had his car.
And you know, it was very good booking because they made sure they put you over. Jarrett made sure he put you over for 3 weeks in a row.
Right, and the people weren't expecting that. Because nobody had beat Jerry Lawler in Memphis 3 weeks in a row.
Because the fourth week, August 1st, Jerry puts up his hair against the Southern title. And that week, Jerry Lawler beat Bill Dundee to win back the Southern title. Do you remember that match? Because it sold out. The building was sold out.
Yeah. Because they really thought Bill's won the first 3 and Jerry Lawler's going to get his head shaved. But he never, so that was it. Then we had the hair matches, and then we had Beverly's hair and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's when we went into the hair matches, right?
Yeah, don't you think when you're looking at this that a promoter or someone watching wrestling or promoting wrestling could look at this and see what a storyline, what you should be doing in wrestling?
Because it was as plain as the nose on your fist, good versus evil, and just do what you think. Everybody wants to see the good guy win. Well, Jarrett was one of the better, not letting him win. The heel would screw you around and do whatever, but if it like them, when I beat him 3 weeks in a row, that gets me over, and then you can do whatever you want after that.
Well, August 8th, another sellout crowd. Bill Dundee beat Jerry Lawler in a match where Lawler won his car back. I believe that's the truth. And Bill Dundee, I think he might have got a Southern title match for the next week.
Yeah.
The next week it's 10,000 people, and it's a hair versus car match. And it's Mickey Pooh was Jerry Lawler's manager. Who was Mickey Pooh?
Right. Mickey's hair, right?
Yeah.
He got shaved.
Now, who was Mickey Pooh?
That was his real name. That was just a guy that hung around Lawler. Lawler knew him, and then he was a kind of stooge for Lawler. And then Jerry said, hey, that looking bastard Mickey Pooh, he said, if we could get him to do some things, the hair, you know how Jared is, he's thinking business-wise, so he was right. Mickey went for the haircut. That's how he kind of got in the wrestling business.
Now, he didn't stay in the wrestling business long, did he?
No, he was goofy. And he didn't really know nothing about it. I mean, we just used it. I mean, you know, he got his head shaved, and that's all we wanted out of him. when I say we, I was just learning how to be that kind of guy and be the booger and what you do and you don't do. So yeah, but Lawler and Jarrett knew where they were going with it. So
on August 22nd, in front of 8,500 fans, Bill Dundee pinned Jerry Lawler, and that must have been the week before, because August 15th I have wrote down Lawler beat Bill Dundee in a hair versus car match. Lawler's manager Mickey Pools, so he beat you that week, and then you came back the very next week, and that's when he lost his hair. And then you had a match on August 28th. It was a hair versus car Texas death match, and Jerry Lawler beat you. And then you come the very next week, and you lose and get your hair shaved. What do you remember about that?
Well, Jerry was more kind of upset than I was. He said, "No, sounded good until I saw you sitting in that chair and they're cutting it all off." He said, "You gotta go to Louisville tomorrow." Bald-headed. I said, "Well, I'm not going." So anyway, I took it the next week off and do the thing, and then they kind of told the people that Dundee lost, you know what I mean? He just didn't want me to walk out and, "Hey, you lost," you know what I'm saying? So that we kind of softened the blow for me going to Louisville and Evansville and all at that end of the territory with no hair.
So people wouldn't just be shocked that you showed up with no hair.
Well, what happened? Yeah. So yeah, that was he did it right.
Well, there's another thing that I want to talk about, if you don't mind coming back on, but I think we're going to leave it there. But the next time, September 13th, 1977, Bill Dundee's wife would lose her hair, and
I'm laughing, but I shouldn't be crying. That was me and Lawler we were all at the office. Lawler and Janet and me were doing this. We're talking about what can we do and not doing. We were running around. You know, Janet said, "Well, we shaved Bill's head, we shaved your head. I'll do the thing." I'll just do it. So I said, and I just said it in jest. I said, "Well, we haven't shaved Beverly's hair." And Lawler's eyes got big and he said, "Do you think she'd go for that?" I said, "I have no idea, but when I go home for lunch, I will ask." So they gave her $3,000 to get a haircut. And that was a pretty good payday back then.
Oh yeah, that would have had been. Did she mind doing it?
She got a new Lincoln. She never really said, and she didn't look that bad on her, to cut it all. They never really shaved it to the bone. The hairdresser got scared. He said, "I'm not shaving this all the way to the scalp." So he left it about just like a crew cut type thing. But he shaved it all because she had long red hair sitting down, and you just leave it. So it wasn't down to the nubs, but it was, to the skin, but it was down to the nubs. So yeah, you could tell she had a haircut.
You would have thought the guy that the barber, you would think he didn't want to do that because I'd say he was afraid he was going to get attacked.
Yeah, and he was an old guy, and it was the same barber we used all the time. So he'd seen hair matches before go wrong, but he did it. And Beverly sat in that chair, and I sat there and just danced around and came down the ring, laughed and carried on. So it was over. It was like a 2-minute haircut took about a half hour because Lawler danced around and sang and did all the things that he did and laughed at us. And, Beverly'd get up and I'd take her out the chair like I was taking her to the back, and then they would come bring her back and sit her back down in the chair. It was a hell of a production.
Really and truly, the promotions today, whoever they are, they need to look at this program, and this is the kind of stuff they need to do today, because this is classic stuff.
Yeah, and there aren't too many of us left that knows how to do it.
Well, Bill, I want to thank you so much for coming on. We're going to stop right there, but if you don't mind coming back on, because after that, not soon after this, you start teaming with Jerry Lawler. So I want to talk about that and talk about some more stuff because we got a lot of stuff to talk about. We got to get the Mid-South Wrestling and the World Championship Wrestling and.
We technically have 40 years of the wrestling business with me, and then you was around 20 of it, and your dad and your brother. So I mean, with the West and the Dundees have been around a while.
So it's going to take a while for us to get through all the years, and but I appreciate you coming on, and I will.
I'll start digging up stuff to read in the book that we did or we didn't do that, so we know what we did.
Let me ask you a question. Do you have any places that you sell any merchandise or anything?
No, not just at the wrestling matches.
Okay. All right. Well, Bill, thank you so much.
Well, I appreciate it. You know, I always thought of the West Clan. They were like my family too, so I appreciate you asking me.
Well, thank you so much, and I'll be getting back in touch with you.
All right, brothers. If you go out in your car, drive careful.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right, mate. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this program on superstar Bill Dundee. Bill Dundee is without a doubt a legendary wrestler. There is no doubt he is a legendary wrestler. If we didn't get to your questions, we will get to them before. I want to thank right now. I want to take this time and thank Daniel Harbin. He said, "Hey Brent, watching from Pisgah, Alabama. Love the show and history. Miss these days, and always great to hear all the stories from the legends like Bill Dundee." And I will make sure that I tell Bill Dundee about that. Bill Dundee is probably one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. When I put him in the top 100, there's a reason for that. And within the next series that we're going to do on Bill Dundee, you're going to see why he deserves to be part of that top 100. Thank you so much. Next week, right here on Pro Wrestling Inside and Out Live, we will be looking at Chief Wahoo McDaniels. Chief Wahoo McDaniels, a wrestler that has it'll be another one of those it'll take us a while to get through his whole career, but we'll do that next week. Until then, thank you so much for watching. We will talk to you next week.